pretty cool. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rod Vester, and this is the best place for musicians who want to develop skills on and off the instrument. So today we are talking about spatial audio. It is now available for Apple Music subscribers. Let's get into it. All right, to enable spatial audio, you're going to go to settings and then you scroll down until you get to music. Click on music and you'll see it here, Dolby Atmos. Click on that and then you see automatic, which it'll automatically play supported songs. You can set it to always on and you get this notification here. Not all speakers are supported, and then you can just turn it on or turn off, and then you can just click it off if you want that. So I keep it on automatic. If you don't see Dolby Atmos, that means you need to update your iPhone to the latest iOS, which is currently 14.6. So what is spatial audio? So spatial audio is designed to bring height and rear effects to music and even video calls. There are two main formats for music. One isn't available yet, but the one that is available now that we are experiencing is Dolby Atmos music, and there's another one that will be available soon, I guess, which is Sony's 360 reality audio. But right now we have Dolby Atmos music. So spatial audio is currently supported on AirPods and some of the Beats headphones, especially the ones with the H1 or the W1 chip. Any of the built-in speakers for the latest iPhone, iPad, and even the Mac with the M1 chip. Apple 4K TV, the 2017 version and the 2021 version is my understanding. So you may or may not know this, but Apple Music isn't the first to launch this spatial audio. I remember being in Virginia about a month ago, and I was in this recording studio and we were listening to spatial audio via Tidal, and we were specifically listening to the remix of Elton John's Rocket Man, and the studio had surround sound so you could really experience the spatial audio. All right, so let's get into the music experience. So I listened to a lot of music across genres because I wanted to have a complete understanding of how the spatial audio is going to, work and how it worked within, certain genres, as well as, music with a lot of instruments versus music with, less instruments, if it's just piano or guitar or something like that. And so I listened to a lot of music just to get the complete experience. And so you'll understand. So what's happening really with the spatial audio, it's creating, this depth, it's creating this height and the rear effects, as I mentioned before, but it's allowing the audio engineer the ability to kind of place musical elements kind of all around you, right? And which is why the term spatial is perfect to explain it. And so, you may hear like the tambourine over here, the drums, like if you listen to jazz, well, I'll talk about that, like drums are here, the trumpet was here, the saxophone here, the piano kind of over here. So the audio engineer has all this, to work with now, this complete space versus stereo, which is just left and right. And even with stereo, the stereo field, you can place things in various places and create some manipulation with, with delays and reverbs and that type of thing. But with spatial audio, you just have more to work with. All right, so let's start with pop music. So I listened to Driver's License by Olivia, and we are accustomed to kind of the vocal being up in your face, especially within pop music. It's just really up close, kind of intimate type of feel for some of the music. But with spatial audio in this particular song, Driver's License, it's, again, everything is just kind of the depth, the distance is just, it's kind of massive. And you can really hear the difference listening to this particular song. Her vocal is kind of away and all the other instruments, are just kind of away versus like the stereo mix, which is everything is a little more close and there's a little more intimacy here, right? Sorry, I put my hand in front of my face. But a little more intimate, with the original versus the spatial audio. And so you kind of lose some of the frequencies as well with spatial audio. I noticed the highs and things like that are just kind of cut versus the original versus spatial audio. And spatial audio, it's not as crisp. Like, so some of the highs are just, are boosted down some. I also listened to Taylor Swift's Fearless, and this is the same type of treatment. Just, you don't get this up close feel. It almost feels like you're kind of in the middle of the performance, which can be kind of cool for some people. But even with Fearless, you lose some of the punch, right? From the drums and from the bass. You don't get that punch like you do in a stereo mix. But again, you know, our ears will probably get used to all of this and it'll be fine. And so this is all personal opinion. So, you know, you may think something totally different, which is totally fine, right? We all have our different, you know, perspectives and our different opinions, and it's gonna be fine. So stay calm in the comments, all right? Thank you. And so staying in the pop genre, I'll also listen to My Future by Billy, you know who it is. And the treatment of spatial audio actually worked a little better because you know, in its original form, the song has a lot of space and it's kind of just floating throughout until the drum loop comes in later. But, you know, in the beginning, it's just kind of, you know, there's a lot of reverb already on the song, and so it just kind of floats, you know, and it's just kind of this wash of sound that happens. And so this, you know, so listening to this particular song in spatial audio, it was really cool and it really worked because, again, you know, it's just this kind of, you know, it's spacious anyway. When the drums came in, you know, because the drum loop doesn't really play a big part of the song, as in like Fearless by Taylor Swift, you know, it was fine. And so I didn't really need the punch there, and, you know, and you could still feel the pulse and feel all of that. But, you know, again, with this particular song, My Future, it really worked well, in my opinion. So let's move to hip hop. So I listened to The Weeknd's Heartless, and also I listened to Lil Baby's Whoa. And both of these, you know, the spatial audio to me did not really work as well because, as I mentioned before, the high frequency is cut some in spatial audio. So, you know, with The Weeknd's Heartless and rap music in particular, you have a lot of these, you know, 16th notes and things that happen on the hi-hats, right? And so you need that, you know, you need those high frequencies because that's kind of what you're accustomed to. And maybe that's it. Maybe we're just accustomed to it and, you know, we'll get used to spatial audio. I don't know. But to me, it didn't work as well. You know, just listening to these particular songs and some other hip hop songs in spatial audio, because you lose the high frequency again, and also you kind of lose the punch, right? And for this particular genre, I mean, kind of the hi-hats, you know, the 808 kick, you know, and the Moog bass and whatever type of bass sound is used is really kind of what drives the song. You know, certainly lyrics and all of that, but it's really the beat, right? And all of that. And so when all of that is kind of, you know, distanced and you don't feel it kind of, you know, in your chest, it just lost something for me with spatial audio. Now, country music. I listened to a bunch of country artists. One I remember is Knocking Boots by Luke Bryan. And again, you kind of lose the punch there. Yes, the guitars, you know, are kind of spaced out some, and that works within spatial audio, but I still kind of feel more of the music and the drive and the impact that you need for like that particular music. I feel it better not listening to it in spatial audio. Now, rock music, I listen to Coldplay and some other rock artists. Again, kind of the same thing. You're not really feeling that punch so much. Now, all the bass and all of that is not missing in spatial audio. I'm not saying that, but sometimes when you're listening to like more upbeat music and that type of thing, because it's, you know, because it's distant from you, it almost seems like, this is something just came to me. It almost feels like you're standing outside of a club listening in. It's not that dramatic, but that's kind of how it is. You know, it's distance from you. You don't feel like you're really just kind of up close and personal. And again, like with rock music, you know, you just kind of need that drive that I think some of those frequencies just kind of get lost in spatial audio. Now, jazz. I listened to Moaning by Art Blakely and the Jazz Messengers and some other jazz that's available in spatial audio. And, you know, for me, it kind of worked well. You know, this particular song, Moaning, was recorded in 1959. So, you know, you didn't have, you know, so much to work with. You know, if it was stereo, it probably was mono. I'm not sure, actually. Actually, it probably was mono. But, you know, now it is bigger. And so I did appreciate spatial audio for jazz, you know, jazz trio and that type of thing, because I could clearly hear, like, you know, the separation of the instruments. I thought it was really cool. It is a little weird kind of to hear drums in, you know, kind of over here. And so if you listen to Moaning, like the drums are over here, you know, versus the drums being here. That's kind of weird for me. And the piano was like, you know, here, and there was a trumpet solo that happens, and it was over here. There's a saxophone solo, and it was over here. And so with that, I mean, like the space, it worked well for me, in my opinion. for that type of jazz. Especially that type of jazz that's been recorded, back in the day. In the classical realm, I'll also listen to all of these projects, and I'll say that spatial audio really worked well for this particular genre, because you have all these acoustic instruments, in these large orchestras, and in one case, orchestra and chorus, and you get this wide spread of sound. It's like this huge sound that I thought worked really well. But the only thing that I'll say, maybe one of the drawbacks is that you miss the hall sound, of wherever they're performing, and so you kind of, because of this space, you kind of lose a little bit of that of the hall, sound. And orchestras, and classical musicians are pretty particular about that, and they choose certain locations in performance halls, to record for this very reason. So, I would say that's probably the only drawback. Now, not to my surprise, but gospel music, I have not found any gospel music in spatial audio yet on Apple Music. And so, yeah, I was really interested in hearing, gospel music, because typically there's a lot of instrumentation, there's a lot of movement, and so I really want to hear how that sounds in spatial audio. So, Apple Music, I'll wait for you on the gospel music. Yeah. All in all, I'm really excited about spatial audio. I mean, I love creativity. I love, the advances that, we're making in music technology. And so, I'm excited about it. And as I mentioned before, maybe it's going to take some time for our ears to adjust to spatial audio, but again, I think it worked well with some of the music I listened to, and not so much for the other music. But again, I'm excited about this evolution. This is something we have not experienced before. And so, I think it's going to be great. Apple Music and engineers, they'll continue to get better and better and better and better. And so who knows, it may be just, the norm from, years to come. So I'm really excited. Let me know what you think about spatial audio in the comments. See you next week.